Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Hello, hello. Let me know if you can or cannot hear me and see me. Things look okay. Welcome to 2022. Hope everyone had a good break. I took a couple of weeks off. And my subs went down by 1,000. Remember, guys, if you want to ask a question during the stream, log into your account in YouTube and on the right, post your question. Make sure you add a whole bunch of emojis before your question, just so I can sort of see it visually, that I see a question's been asked, and keep it mature and civil as well. Okay, sound and video looks good. All right. As always, mostly I'll be talking about the recent videos during the week. My one this week was Nothing Will Change Until You Act Like You Want It to Change. And it sort of plays into a lot of stuff I've been talking about on and off. It's all interconnected about being honest with yourself. There's a lot of talk going on in the male self-help arena. And a lot of it is just that talk, expecting the world to change. And you think if you kind of point to what's wrong, and a lot of the stuff guys point to is actually wrong, you know, it needs to improve. It's not fair. Legitimate grievances, things like that. But just sitting inert, pointing and complaining, while a good acknowledgement of what's going on, if you're not going to do anything to sort of move forward and avoid it, or move forward and overcome it, or move forward and whatever, then all you're doing is forever apathetically sort of sitting inert and letting time pass by knowing yourself defensively, if that makes sense. Daniel says, after not seeing a human video for a couple of weeks, he wondered whether I was still alive. Yeah, I told people, I think, in the last stream that, or the last video, one or the other, the very last, one of the last ones I posted up, that I was going to take a couple of weeks off over Christmas just to sort of do nothing. And that's what I did, and I had a ball. Okay. I'll go through some of the notable comments regarding this latest video, which I think underpins a lot of being able to face a lot of the sort of issues and frustrations guys are having, whatever it might be about women or the world or whatever, their lives. If you can actually do something about it, you know, I've always actually, like, I don't like not being able to do something about it. I get stressed when I don't have control. If I can't do anything, then I can let it go, because rationally there's nothing I can do about it. If I can't just let it sit there. I can't go to bed with it in my head. It's kind of like someone who can't go to bed with the dishes still in the sink. That's the kind of mentality I have. I mean, I can go to bed without having the dishes in the sink, but I'm just trying to describe what it's like. I get stressed and anxious where there's something to be done and it's obvious, it's the elephant in the room, and I just don't do it. Or you procrastinate and you let things pile up, or you talk about it and you never do something. And then another problem comes and it stacks on top of that problem that you just talked about. Then there's another one you're talking about. So I always, look, when I talk to you guys, I'm talking to myself as well. If you can do something, do it. because there's always going to be something else that comes along. And then you just have problem after problem stacking on top of you, weighing you down. The more you can clear the decks, the better it is. The more you can minimize and, as JP says, clean your room, the better. Okay, some of the more notable comments recently. I had one from Boffin, but it was from an older video. I don't think I've read this one out, but it was a pretty good one. It was about it was relating to the video a little while ago where I was talking about, was your ex really that bad? Like getting off on sort of crucifying her constantly, making yourself as the angel and them as the villain. Because basically, from memory, I think the video was talking about, you wouldn't have been with them for that long if there weren't some good times, and most likely there were a lot of good times. It probably started going downhill, but trying to describe your ex as completely bad, like no redeeming qualities, and you never enjoyed yourself, and like, getting victim points, it kind of makes you look a bit foolish, because why did you stay there if it was 100% bad? And Boffin said, this is both about being honest with and about yourself, and honest in your assessment of others. Always exonerating yourself contributes nothing to self-improvement and does nothing to build skills that are needed when assessing others for future relationships. This is correct. Be voracious when judging yourself and fair when judging others, and you will learn not to repeat past mistakes. That's a really good comment that I don't think I read in the last stream, but it was for an older video, but I thought it's sort of interconnected with these topics I'm talking about. Being very honest with yourself all the time, as much as you can, because you're clearer that way. You train yourself that everything that's filtered through your brain and then through your mouth is honest. So again, it's for you, it's not for them. It's not so much, you got to be honest to other people, as I can't remember who it was that said, we don't really lie to others, we mainly lie to ourselves. That's the reason why. Lying to yourself just gets you in trouble all the time. Most notably with guys when they lie to themselves about the girl they go on a date with, or the woman they marry, or they have kids with. When they're sober and single and on these boards, and then telling you about all the wisdom they have, when they're not in the middle of it, that's fine, but you need to carry that wisdom forward and be honest with yourself when you're being tested in a relationship, whether that's romantic, platonic, job, whatever it might be in life. Do what you know is right. And now on to the comments relating to the recent video this week. Nothing will change until you act like you want it to change. David said, the universe simply doesn't care about you. It's also true, therefore, it doesn't care enough to stop you either. I thought that was a really astute and really poetic way of looking at the issue of the topic I was raising in that video. Yeah, the universe doesn't care. Life itself doesn't care. And because it doesn't care, nothing can stop you living the way you want. It's beautiful. So, yeah, well said. D. Culver said, I agree 100%. Helps to be smart about being courageous too, though. Being courageous without being smart is a recipe for running ahead first into a brick wall. Yeah, that's just being reckless. That's not being courageous. The word courageous assumes a level of steadfastness and level-headedness and intelligence, you'd hope. He continues, speaking from experience here, being smart and courageous. Now, there's a powerful combination. I agree. Gabrielle said, I used to say I'll change my diet and stuff once I get my work in order. I was using work as an excuse to prevent me from eating right. I still don't have my work in order, but I started eating right this week. 100% agree with the video. I think going your way and your direction is about improving your life circumstances by making better decisions right now in your own life rather than being helpless and waiting for things to change around you. Amen. Let's see. Okay. We're still running. I just wanted to make sure I hit the stream button because I didn't do that last time. August Lyon added a comment. He said, your life is going to change regardless of whether it just happens to you or you take the impetus to do it for yourself. At least when that change is based on your own actions, your decisions, your desire, you have much more control over the chaos we all call life. Last year, I walked away from a job I had for nearly 20 years that gave me the security of a steady paycheck. But the job was unfulfilling, physically and mentally draining, and I knew it was time for a change. So I now have a better job, less stress, more money, and I'm working towards a longer term goal. Even if I ultimately fail, I will always have the pride of knowing that I tried for something better. Change isn't good or evil, it's just reality. Yeah, change will happen. Whether you decide to make a change yourself or not. So it's much better that you take that calculated risk and change yourself. Plan accordingly and be very intentional and purposeful about it. Not sort of safely wait and hope life gives you luck. You know, make your own luck, as they say. Mr. Highway said in a comment, I speak along the same lines to men. At some point, you have to take accountability for your life, or you'll just watch other people live theirs. Yeah. I think a lot of people worry about, what they can't do in life or, look in the past, worry about the future. But everyone knows when people get to the end of their life, they regret not taking the risks they should have taken, not doing the basic things in humanity that everyone knows they should do. Not stress about money as much, catch up with friends more, do those things or that thing you always wanted to do but kept putting on the shelf. I mean, it's always good to have something to wake up for and to look forward to. But if you constantly put something really basic, like, not basic, but as in you can start it at any time, but you put it as a carrot to wake up for in perpetuity, all the while continuing in life. Like, I'll write that book someday. I'll visit Kathmandu someday. I'll whatever someday. All it takes is a decision. It actually doesn't take a lot of planning and a lot of chess pieces in place to be able to play that chess game. That's what I mean. So, yeah, regret's the biggest thing for people in the winter years of their life and particularly on their deathbeds. Quasimandias says in a comment, I am completely baffled by people who expect guaranteed success before committing to any effort whatsoever. Yeah. Sanitized adventure. It's kind of an oxymoron. So, it's kind of, for all the complaining men do about women, women want sort of chaos, but they want security. Guys are starting to sort of exhibit the same traits. I want adventure, but I want safe, sanitized guarantee. Basically, I want virtual reality. I want to play a driving video game, but I don't want to actually drive in a car or, poor analogy, but you know what I mean. You're not sort of feeling much in life. There's very little tactility. Remember, guys, if you want to ask any comments during this stream, ask them in the comment section in the box to the right. Keep it civil. Yeah, Feral Android says I'm an hour early. I am, because I actually have to be somewhere at 12 o'clock, so I have to end the stream roughly an hour earlier. Have to do a private errand. So, got to do life, guys, as well sometimes. As much as I can, I try and, you know, get most things that can be pushed away. I try and put this stuff as a priority. But when other close people in your life, they need you, you got to put this stuff on hold. Black Magic 1087 says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Yep, they do. It's not so much about magical thinking. You know, there are a lot of pessimists in sort of the, whether you want to call it the manosphere or the male self-help arena or all of that kind of conglomerate. But it's what I talk about is being realistic, being practical, being tactile in life, testing, philosophical, stoic, just being very realistic and grounded about how you go about thinking and ethically practicing these things. There's a lot of stuff guys talk about, especially in relation to women and relationships, that for me, it's great as a basis of, creating a map of how things work and how you can might be able to apply them. But unless you apply them, it's nothing. All of this stuff for me is praxis. And if it's not practical application, if it's just theory, for me, it's just kind of intellectual and little else. And that's fine, but it's like playing a fun video game. But this stuff is very important to me, even though it is very pedestrian. It's one of the most important things we need to get right for ourselves, the way we go about relating to people, or if you want to have a romantic relationship, or if you want to live on your own, how you want to structure your life, you want to lose weight, you want to sleep better, which I need to, because after my holiday, my sleep is trash. I think 2 nights ago, I went to bed at 1 in the morning and I woke up the next day at 3:30 in the afternoon. So yeah, my sleep's all over the place, and I didn't sleep last night at all. I'll probably crash in a few hours. So yeah, it's just about getting your mind and body healthy, and then your decisions, where your mind and body participate, your routines and how you conduct your life. Remember, guys, I may not read your messages, not because I'm intentionally avoiding them. It's because if you don't put a whole bunch of emojis before them, I can't tell their questions. Happy New Year, everyone. Yep. The Leon says, hey, human, super off topic. So you don't need to read it. It will throw you off a bit, but do you have advice on performance anxiety? I feel it's in my head. I think I briefly mentioned this in a recent video. It's guys make a if you're talking about not getting it up, or you're talking about finishing quickly. If you're finishing quickly, you're probably just excited, which I always think it's kind of a woman should feel good about it, because he's really excited that he can't control himself. But if you actually can't get it up, I did a video where I think most of the guys' shame in that is misplaced. Because if you can actually get excited by, watching videos online, or you can, rub one out on your own and you have no problem, it's actually her. There's probably no chemistry, you feel awkward, you're not compatible. Because I've had those moments where, I can't get the deed up to happen. And it's usually because of the person I'm with, because then I'm with someone else and there's no problem. And again, you want the test, whether it's actually a physical issue. It's And this is not, notwithstanding you get older, your testosterone drops, and it's normal not to be able to sort of perform. But if you're kind of a normal young to middle-aged guy, it's usually the person you're with. There's a large, I think the majority of guys not getting it up is due to incompatibility with the person. You just really don't fit with them. And your body's telling you that. So I hope that answers that. But I don't know if the performance is too quick or, you can't get it up. Gustav C says, thoughts on deciding whether to stay in a relationship or leave, when to stay and try to work things out versus breaking up gracefully. Apologies if you can hear that. Some guy's like riding down my street with a motorcycle. Whether or not you break up or stay, I think that's kind of a personal one. If you're starting to ask people, and you're asking, no offense, you're asking a complete stranger, without me knowing your situation, I'm inclined to believe you already know you want to leave, because I don't know the details. You're asking me. If I was asking anybody this question, I would kind of be leaning towards the direction of leaving. But it's a very subjective question. Because if things were good, if if the balance was you're having problems and you're not quite sure, you want to work it out, you would kind of know, you would kind of see the value of like there's a lot more positives than negatives. But yeah, I think you kind of get a feeling like if you've put it this way, if you've talked and exhausted all communication avenues and there seems no resolution, she's not going to change, you're not going to change, there's no meeting in the middle, you're basically going off in two separate directions, and neither of you feel like you can be yourself or anything by staying together, then yeah, like if there's no salvageability, then yeah, you leave. But I think a lot of times people know what the right thing to do is, but they don't have the courage, as I said, to kind of really just do what needs to be done. But again, if you're not quite sure, if you haven't sort of exhausted every avenue, I wouldn't just say bail just because you feel bad. Because one thing you don't want to do is have regret later. This is why sometimes, like, in retrospect, it's easy to say I stayed in a relationship longer than I should have. But while I was in there, I wanted to make sure, because if you're in a serious one, you care about the person. Say you're in a relationship for 1 or 2 years, a couple of years or something. If you just toss it at the first aggravation, then it doesn't say much about your character. Because if you put in so much and at the first sign of things going awry and starting to go downhill consistently, maturely, you want to see if you can, if it's just your imagination, your perception's off. So you want to try and communicate and discuss. You don't just in your own head form a fiction and go, well, I don't like this, see you later, toots. You want to do the right thing, again, for you, not so much for her, but you first, then her, then the relationship itself. Basically, because you want to be able to sleep soundly at night and know that you made the right decision 100% for you. You don't want to be a tough dude, bro, to show off to your mates later. Oh, I dropped her at the first sign of any kind of flag arising in the relationship. It's like, yeah, your mates are patting you on the back, but your mates aren't sleeping in your bed anymore, and they're not comforting you in the way that a woman can. So you want to make sure that what you let go of permanently, and relationships, for the most part, you let go of them permanently, and you can regret them for the rest of your life, but does you no good. So you're better off making sure if you leave, you leave righteously, and for decisions you're still proud of, you can talk of later. For instance, if I could go back in the time machine, I would have tried maybe sort of a few more things as a last resort on a few of my relationships, but I did the best I could. And when I left, I tried everything at the time I could, given who I was and the maturity level I was at. So do that for yourself. PJ says, is ego most women's problem? Perhaps. But, ego affects men and women as well. So it's, again, assess the person you're with. Women exhibit certain traits. And today, what women are being fed, they're getting very egotistical, very narcissistic. True. But all that matters is the woman you pick, the woman you're dating, the woman you say yes to, the woman you go to bed with, the woman you move in with, have kids with, marry, or whatever. All that matters is the woman you take risks with, step by step. Doesn't matter what women in plural are like, because you're not dating women, you're dating a woman. Yes, it's good to understand what women have in common. But it matters not, because all you care is the specificity of the woman you're with. That's what separates her from everyone else, and that's why it'll make her the person you pick exceptionally from everyone else. But if you're just picking every woman, you'll get the problems of every woman. If you just kind of go like this, and you just pick every woman because you want to join the echo chamber of all women are the same, it's pretty crappy. Because the quality of the average woman out there is pretty crappy. And it doesn't say a lot about you. I wouldn't pick the average woman. I would only pick an exceptional woman that's compatible to me. So I would again say it's edifying to kind of know what most women are like, what men's nature is like, what relations are generally like, what the laws are like, what the pitfalls, the landmines, the dangers. Get a clear perspective of the terrain and the map that's out there that you place yourself in, but also the person you're with that walks the path in that map. It's not all as predetermined as people think. I mean, I don't know. Like a lot of people call me naive that, they say, oh, human, you don't have as much control as you think you do. All women are like this. Life is predetermined. There's no free will. I'd like to think I have more free will than a lot of the nihilists and determinists think there is. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. We're all, going to be 6 feet under. But I think I enjoy my life more than a lot of guys I talk to that are nihilistic, simply because of my will and attitude. If a situation realistically can be approached with glass half full or glass half empty, and it sort of the ontology of the situation won't matter, whichever perspective I take, then I will choose to take the more optimistic one, because it actually serves me better. If there's no realistic pitfall from being optimistic, even if some people say it's naively optimistic, if it actually doesn't matter ontologically, then I will choose that, because it's better for my disposition. It's better for my drive and will, and for my forward movement. Crummy BCR says, human, what is your take on program compliance being the drone life norm for most people? Is there any chance they'll wake up, or should I give up on most people? Cheers. Look, I kind of treat most people as sort of a neutral pedestrian until people kind of click with me. And the one-on-one interaction with various people proves itself that, oh, okay, this person's conscious, or this person's got a personality that clicks with mine. I think a lot of people looking for safety online treat everyone as the average person, and they might be, but if you want to have a good interaction with people out there, or an interaction with women, you've got to have the antenna of an individual proving themselves to you or talking to you. If they talk like everyone else, if they spit out memes, if they talk like the news, then you're aware of it. And you need more substance in someone who's going to be a friend, or someone who's going to be a romantic partner, or whatever. Have that antenna up. You can't cut off the individual antenna of everything you want from a personal life. Cut that antenna off and just accept the generality of life, the lemmings that come your way and say, I'm going to embrace everyone. I'm going to love everyone. I'm going to treat everyone the same. That's my standard. Well, it's a really lazy, dull standard that produces lazy and dull results. And I'm saying you're going to have, you're just going to have really dull life coming your way because you have no standard or assessment of saying, oh, this is worthwhile. I can see, I can see the value of this. But if all women are the same, all jobs are the same, all people are the same, what's the point? Luke says, do you think risk and adventure is a human need or more based off of temperament? Can a man's adventure be mastering a craft they are passionate about? Sure. That craft could be sort of at home somewhere, fairly safe. There could kind of be an intellectual adventure, or it could be a combination of intellectual and physical, like where you actually put your body at risk. Could be anything. But who was it that said men need two things, adventure and play? No, danger and play. That is why they pick women, the most dangerous plaything of all. So I would say adventure is a big part of a man's disposition or desire. So, and play and danger and play, or if you want to call it adventure, kind of overlap and interweave very often. I haven't been wearing my glasses, but I don't feel like I need them today. So you're going to get glasses for a human today. Hey, Karu, how you going, man? Rebound Sound says, human, are there any female specific traits you value or you are basically see potential female partners as basically a friend with only a difference in physical characteristics? Pretty much. After dating the women I've dated, the most important thing is compatibility, and that pretty much is like the other important people in your life. Like, okay, family you're born with, but hopefully you have a good relationship with your family. But say the best friend or friends you have in your life, the best friend quality in a romantic partner is the thing I look for the most. Just the easy getting along. None of this BS game playing. Because you take a look at the kind of values and virtues that, a great friend has. You can trust them. They don't bust your balls. They don't make all these unrealistic demands and keep pushing you unrealistically and putting on this romantic mask where you have to kind of get on stage and be the boyfriend, or she has to be the girlfriend character and stuff like that. The couples I've known in my life, and I still know these people in my life, that have the best relationships and they've lasted longest. And whenever you talk to them, the first thing is friendship quality. And the literature I've read, I think it was Michel de Montaigne, he said something to the effect, I'm paraphrasing now, he says, successful marriages don't resemble something, they don't, love is not what constitutes a good marriage or relationship, it's friendship. Because he didn't believe much in romantic love, and he said about the only thing that he saw marriages and really deep relationships staying the long term and loving each other was where the underpinning of it was friendship. That was the biggest foundation. And like I said, what are the really good virtues that underpin friendship? It's like trust and love and respect and not pushing each other, not manipulating, not having unrealistic, dumb expectations of each other, not forcing each other to change. Just a lot of freeing things that then allow you to be completely open with that friend that you find physically attractive. So yeah, friendship is my number one quality, because from that stems a lot of things like trust, virtues, wanting the same things out of life. My name is says, how many people actually give their best? Not many, but I think you should. It's a great standard to have for yourself, even if you don't show it to other people. Small victories, guys, even in the smallest victories, like, getting up when you said you'd get up, sticking to a diet. So doing your best in those little victories is often what life is kind of made of. You don't have to do big things to kind of plant your flag to show off to other people. Those small things in aggregate can actually add up to sort of a really contented life. Oh, okay. Wolfat, Wolfelt says his problems with performance was premature jack, ulation. Any logical tips on controlling it better, lasting longer? Well, I mean, if it's kind of as soon as you put it in, you blow your load, there's not much you can do, but I'd say like stop way before or think of something unattractive to stop yourself. Like I said, look, I would, because a lot of times I think guys put a lot of pressure on themselves. Like if you can mentally kind of stop yourself or get yourself less excited, but then again, you don't want to discuss yourself while you're doing it. You want to enjoy yourself. Like I said, a woman should actually find it a compliment if you're that excited that you can't control yourself around her. So I'm probably not the best person to speak to about that. I've always been I've never had a problem with like pulling back when I want to make it last longer. But if you're sort of, if the money shot's happening straight away, I don't have any experience with that. Sorry, man. And me, I just kind of, when I get there, I just let it go. I've never been the one to hold back. Ted1775 says, Human, your last video was very heavy. Please keep in mind the trauma that many men have endured by the gynocentric system. I don't discount that, man. And like I said, a lot of the stuff, I completely am on board when guys kind of, there's a place to vent, there's anger, there's like phases, but when you stay in those, when you never move on, and look, if you move on rationally, like you've been traumatized by a large degree, like, your ex took your kids and everything, and you've barely got enough to survive the rest of your life, and you don't want another relationship, but you're very clear-minded and sober about it, fine, don't. I'm not actually saying that guys need to get into a relationship or be stoically kind of driven or anything. I'm just talking really about guys who give up because of fear, sort of being happy or not taking any recoverable or sensible risks and looking for complete safety. That I'm kind of more talking about that. Of course, if there's sensible things that guys don't want to do, don't do them. Live the life you want to live. But there's a difference between living the life you want to live and lying to yourself and others. Like you actually talk to others, like trying to confirm your own biases by asking people that the answer is going to confirm your biases of fear and holding yourself back and not moving forward. You can find places online and a bunch of online friends that you can tell your story to, and they'll all agree and say, yeah, you're better off staying still and not doing anything. All women are bad and all that kind of stuff. So look, I've been there too. I'm just I'm speaking to a younger version of myself when I say some of these things. So I'm not speaking specifically to any guy, but I don't think there's any long-term benefit in rotting in sort of always blaming everyone and everything else and staying safely in a cage that's just kind of grey and dark and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm belaboring the point, but that's what I'm meaning. But yeah, I'm not discounting the system, TED 1775. Neil says, in a relationship, you never leave an arrow in the quiver. You have to try everything to make it work. Then when you walk, you can say, I did the best job that I could. Exactly. That's what I was saying. Exhaust every avenue. So then when you look back and you talk about it, and even if you might miss them straight afterwards, because a lot of that happens, you question yourself. If you can run through everything you tried, and if you were to try and go back, all you could try is everything you've tried already. So it's good that you try everything. That's why I encourage you guys to speak, let it out, be honest, don't hide things, don't gameplay, let everything out, be completely honest, and then you've got nothing that you can question yourself, or nothing that really haunts you in a very real way, because you did let it out. Edson says, AWOLT, what is human talking about? Look, all women have female nature, but each woman exhibits various aspects of female nature to different degrees. What I'm saying is, if you want a relationship or you want to be with women, again, if, don't have anything to do with women if you don't want to. More power to you, right? But for the guys who honestly still want a woman, have standards by which you assess the woman in front of you. If you judge every woman as being exactly the same, you'll get the same woman all the time. But if you recognize that, like I said, most women are the same, and I only have a standard for a very specific type of woman, given my experience, what I've learned, what I know, eyes open, and again, going in there with very specific standards for what is the only thing that works for you now, after everything you've learned, and you're honest with yourself that, yep, I could have a relationship, but only under these circumstances and only this type of very specific person that matches me and my values and et cetera, et cetera. But if you're just a, hormonal guy that wants a hot chick and yeah, they're all the same, yeah, you're going to get the same hot chick, because you're not looking for personality, temperament, values, or anything. It's just biological. So if your standard is biological, yeah, you're going to get the same woman. I agree. 95 or whatever % of women, above 90%, they're pretty much all the same. And a lot of guys aren't much better because they're picking those women, and they all feed each other. You just look at a lot of the popular channels in the male arena, where they've got chicks and men on podcasts with microphones, and they're yelling at each other and blaming each other. You look at the bimbos that the guys are going for, and you look at the chads that the girls are going for. They deserve each other. But if you want to stop that merry-go-round and you want to start sort of thinking a little bit, that's what I'm saying. Or keep doing the same thing. I don't care. Yeah, look, most women are like that. But when you say all, for the rational mind, you know that all women aren't exactly the same. Look at the difference between, I don't know, say you got two sisters. Are they exactly the same? Is every single woman the same? Romantically, most women, if they're fed by the system, they do expect a lot, but you don't pick those women. Again, guys, it's about your choices. I just can't get on board where guys say all women are the same, so I'm powerless. They're all crap. From that position, yeah. But if you have very specific standards, you'll either be alone, which great, your life is good. Or on the very rare occasion you meet someone that might fit you, at least you can do it with your eyes open. And if it doesn't work, you do it with your eyes open at a sort of logical pace, with your arms extended, to give enough time to trust them before you want to have the kind of relationship you want to have. But look, I really can't. Look, I'm the kind of person, if I can do something in life, no one's going to tell me what I can't do. If it's absolutely 0% chance of it working, fair enough. It's not realistic. And I'm not saying there are unicorns out there, but I'm just saying when you have standards, it's not that it's going to be easy to find, but at least you're kind of, you know what you want, and you've got standards by which you choose things. Does that make sense? I can't get on board with very lazy standards and very lazy ethics where you're basically saying that your ethics don't exist. You know, hand me the rule book of what I want, because all women are the same. And so as a guy, I'm the same as all guys. So if you're saying all women are the same in a complementary biological factor way, then you're kind of saying you're the same as every other guy, which you know you're not. So I'll just leave you with that. Make of that what you will. Some of the questions, I'm not sure how to answer them, guys. So it's not that I'm being rude, but I don't know anything about the topic. Look, for me, women as a product out there are the worst they've ever been in history, right? I won't disagree with that. But because they're not a mechanical object, like, you know, if there's a product out there that's always failing, it's actually made exactly the same way. There's no variability. But a living organism, whether it's plant, animal, or whatever, it kind of can't be. So it sort of suggests that you need to be very, very aware and intentional of how you're interacting with this living thing. You can't be lazy and go, like, it's kind of like, if you just walk around the street and treat everyone the same, you're going to have a very poor social interaction. If you just go to the supermarket and like, hey, hi, bye, thank you, whatever, if you're not really engaging and paying attention to what people are saying, you're not going to have good interactions with people, just even socially, in a pedestrian fashion. Like, you know, when someone says, hey, how was your day? Oh, not bad. And you really engage with the person. You're not being presently engaged one-on-one and relating properly. If you're sleepwalking through your relationships, like if all women are the same, all men are the same, you go to the supermarket, you ignore everyone, you just say, thank you, bye, whatever. If you're half asleep through your life, I'm just saying it's a very dull life to live. Feral Android, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, he says, Happy New Year. I didn't know you woke up this early. Glad you're back. Thank you, man. Glad to be back. I was actually wondering if I was going to be, you know, switched on enough for this, because I haven't slept since yesterday. Again, guys, some of the questions I don't know how to answer them, so. Savvy D says, all the married people I know are in counseling. I don't disagree. Most married couples I see are tolerating each other. They're not very happy. And all the rest have separated or are divorced. But also the ones that are sort of tolerating each other or aren't in happy marriages or are in counseling, when you talk to them and when you sort of hear their complaints, oh, she's like this, he's like this, and like they give you this litany of things that the other person is really irritating, how they're irritating. You start asking them and saying, well, when did they change? Or, they were always like this. And you start to realize that they were like that from the beginning. And you think, why did you date them for so long? Why did you decide to move in? Why did you then marry them? Why did you have kids? And it's like, I don't know. For me, it's you take the required time to be as certain about this person as possible before you take every important step in a relationship. You know, you take the time before you even say I love you. You want to be as sure that that person's worthy of those words, and then you can take the next ones. You want to be serious and committed about each other. Hopefully before you say the words I love you, and then if you decide to want to live with each other, and then be aware of the laws if you want to take that route and all this stuff. But before that, again, that's why I say look for the underpinning quality of a friend, a best friend you can trust like a best friend to be able to do those things. Most people I see in relationships, they don't even like the person, they don't trust them, and they think, well, again, you can't trust women, so I'll just go into a relationship and move in with someone I don't trust because no one trusts women. Are you insane? I wouldn't let anyone in my house that I don't trust. But you're going to impregnate someone and have kids with them and marry them because, all women are the same and you can't trust any of them. Well, if I can't trust the woman I'm in front of, I don't date them, let alone let them into my home. I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. And by old-fashioned, I kind of mean logically, I trust my judgment on who I can trust or not. And again, that trust could be betrayed, but at least the standard is, who can I trust? And have I known them enough? And have they consistently kept proving themselves over and over again, and they haven't contradicted themselves, and I haven't been arguing with them. Have your girlfriends been like that, guys? Have you had long enough periods where the same characteristic has proven themselves? Have they blown up? Have they had a bad temper and you've just accepted as like, oh, women, or that's just the way she is, or she's betrayed you over and over again in small ways. You can't trust her, but you just think, oh, all women are like that. Well, again, I think we need to look in the mirror and say, we are accepting and going out with women that we can't trust. Like, we wouldn't even like them as people. We don't like them as friends. But because they're hot, or we don't want to be alone, we're accepting it. And then the excuse is all women are the same, because all guys are accepting that low-level standard. Would you buy a car without test driving it, looking under the hood, taking the required time, the finance, like looking at everything long enough to make that decision as best you can? And sure, the car could turn out a lemon, but do the best you can, cross every T and dot every I, that later on, when you told the story of how you broke up, no one could really blame you because you did everything in your power to take time and do your logical best to have a relationship, if that's what you wanted. Pretzel159 says, I was married 27 years ago, human. She was cheating on me even on our wedding day. I found out during couples therapy. I was devastated. Many failed relationships later. Single is freedom for me. Sorry to hear, man. Were any traits, did she have anything that would sort of, that would make it obvious that she'd be that kind of person? Did she have anger issues? Did she treat you like crap? Because that kind of thing, like just cheating on your wedding day, that would suggest there are a lot of other flags there as well. Now, I'm not sort of saying maybe you're one of the rare cases where she was like perfect and like no one saw it, but she was covertly doing all this stuff behind your back. But usually, and I know in my experience, when I look back, there were a lot of signs, but I excused it because I was a nice guy. I was forgiving because I wanted her to forgive me, so I forgave a lot of stuff that was like sticking out like a sore thumb. Okay. Hey, martial arts oriental medicine, how you going? Luke asks or says, do you have any thoughts on romanticizing the mundane to bring more meaning to life? That's an interesting perspective. Is it lying to yourself or showing humility and gratitude? I would actually say it's more leaning, like my perception of it, and my initial perception is it's actually the glass half full mentality. If you can romanticize the mundane, I think that will make your expectations more realistic, and thus you'll be more content. So I'd say if you think that's a solution, I think it would be a really practical and applicable one. Again, all these kind of ways of thinking and things to try out, if they're not ethical, and by ethical I mean practical, you can practice them, then I think they're largely kind of just intellectually interesting. They're pretty useless. All of this stuff, all of this male self-help, philosophical stuff, stoic stuff, it has to be praxis. If it's not practical, I would say try and test it as much as you can. Try and force it to be practical. And if it can't be, throw it away. Tristan says, thanks for promoting small victories, not the big alpha bro victories. Yeah. Because what you'll find is the big alpha bro victories, you need validation from others, whether it's from women or from other dude bros. You need to beat your chest and show off to other people. So even if you might value it, it's never alone with you. It's in tandem with others or completely validated by others. Whereas small victories that are personal, that you may not even need to tell other people about, you can start feeling confident because they're just for you, because you don't have to tell anyone. Or if you do, you don't care that they're small. Again, they're not things that sort of belong on a billboard. Um, okay. Martial arts oriental medicine saying it's all about women, that whatever happened about more focus on just men at greater consciousness and accomplishment. I got it, but still women is number one focus. So what's the real point? I reference women so often because I think if guys can really confront a lot of these general ways of being, like their ethical stance, if they can actually face them with women, then they can actually face everything really easily. But there's no point, I think with a lot of guys, and I noticed it with myself, I would be very philosophical and confront and organize my life and everything was perfect, but my Achilles heel was always women. And no matter how perfect I made everything else, how stoic, how refined, how organized, my routines, everything was like very sharp. My relations with women was a mess because I was avoiding it. And I was trying to avoid addressing the elephant in the room by perfecting everything else. It's kind of like when you know you need to lose weight, for instance, that's the main issue in your life. That's the discipline you really need to, if you can overcome that, then you can overcome anything. Or if alcoholism is the biggest problem in your life, but you know, you're going to work properly, you're paying the bills, you're I don't know, you're helping your neighbor, you're being a good citizen, you're doing all this stuff, but you really know that alcoholism is your big Achilles heel. Until you can address, if you can have the biggest victory, then the smallest ones will just fade away. So I've said it before. That's why I reference women so often when I'm trying to talk about these real life kind of issues regarding men. Because a lot of guys, and I did it a lot, I went through patches where I was like overly philosophically, it was almost academic, and I was avoiding the real life kind of stuff that was an anchor in my life, or I was avoiding elephants in the room, and sort of you got to address those elephants. Rebound Sound says, if you don't like some specific female traits in women, there are probably some you specifically do like. What are they? Look, aside from the physical traits that, by dint of my heterosexuality, like, I like the obvious things. Well, actually, that's not true. Like, I've always preferred I've never held a beautiful female face very high in my physical attraction to a woman. I always held her body more attractive and placed her face second. Maybe it's due to most women who have a beautiful face. I haven't met very many who have great personalities because they don't really have to try. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But I've always, I've never liked perfect model faces anyway. I don't trust them for some reason, or I think they're boring because every woman tries to look like Kim Kardashian or like a model. But aside from the physical, for me, it's the values. And again, the values of a friend that I would be compatible with. And again, it's, it can be very subjective. So the values-driven thing that I look for in a female or in a friend might be slightly different to what you find valuable. And they're the hardest things, I think, wanting the same things out of life and having the same moral and ethical compass. Not generally, but specifically. Carl says, Human, have you read Aaron Clarey's book, The Book of Numbers? No, I have not. Remember, guys, if you want to ask a question, put a whole bunch of emojis before your question so I can actually see that you're asking me something. Hey, Boffin, how you going, man? You missed out. I read one of your questions out earlier. Savvy D, thank you for the super chat donation. I appreciate it, man. His comment is, the best road trips I've ever taken were the ones I took alone. You do excellent work, sir. Thank you. Thanks for coming by, and thanks for the donation. I appreciate it. Quasimandias says, it seems to me there is a lot of misguided nostalgia for the good old days and where a guy was basically expected to get married if he kissed a girl, and no matter what he stuck. Yeah, and a lot of guys today, they want to eat their cake and have it too, where they kind of romanticize a nostalgic past of our grandfathers that wasn't really the case. They over glorify it. Because when you ask our grandfathers, like, yeah, there was some good bits, but not, oh God. But it wasn't the sanitized romantic perfection that a lot of young guys who never really looked into the past or talked to anyone who was really old can really verify. I think what guys need to do is really look at the terrain we are living in now and make the best decisions now. The women in the world, aren't really going to change to a degree that you're really safely satisfied with. That's completely safe. So you need to think, need to develop your own moral philosophy and have a really strong a values-based system. You've got to have really strong ethics. Yeah, you can change them, but have a strong standard and go from there and base it on the world in front of you. Lee Gwip's question, human. I want to move to be with my parents in the winter of their lives. So this would put me very far away from my child who is 17. So any ideas how to best handle this? Well, I take it your child doesn't want to move with you then. I suppose they've got their own life. That's a hard one. Well, they're nearly an adult, I suppose. If you need to go now, before they're 18 or an adult, is there anyone that you trust you can leave them with? That's all I could think of. Quasimandias says, in fact, we are collections of information that emerge from the background field we call the universe, and in fact, we don't explore that bizarre reality. We have missed it all. I'm not sure how to interpret that. Okay. Martial arts orientated medicine says human. Yes, I know human, but I'm talking about once we get past these things with women, we keep that the focus like the other channels so much women focus. That's what I meant. Resonate with you. Yeah, but this is the thing with moving forward. Like I really don't think, because it's such a primal instinct, men and women. It's not something you can go, oh, okay, mastered that, move on. That's done. It's not like a patio you've built and it's going to stay built. It's such a prime thing. Like, it's kind of like you try to unplug it and it plugs itself in if you don't exercise it. It's like, I think it's a muscle you need to exercise like at the gym. Otherwise it atrophies and it goes back to ruining you. So as you move forward philosophically, I think you keep having to kind of revisit it, not in a big way, but you need to be very aware of it. It's I don't think it's something you can kind of master, put in its place like some guys might. But for me, it's got, I think it's such a prime directive because, and you can see why it is with most guys, because it's the only way the human species can stay alive. We propagate through that desire. So it's not like other things, like you might be able to get over another addiction and have it in its place. But the biological one, that sort of the organism that wants to reproduce, that I don't think is one you can kind of like check off the list and it's one and done. So yeah, we can go forward philosophically, but I don't think there's harm in reflecting and referencing women, because it's the biggest lesson that we can reference in terms of like a philosophy. If we go too abstract, it can be interesting, but we can actually find ourselves also stepping in bear traps again in the future and then feeling that much more embarrassed because we think, oh crap, I did this again. Deja vu. Yeah, I remember mastering this 5 or 10 years ago and I thought I had it figured out and I thought it was in my rearview mirror. But because I didn't sort of refresh it or keep that muscle active to a very minimal sense, then it kind of, I got blindsided again because I thought I was better than it. Biology tends to win if you don't stay frosty. Crummy VCR said, the last time I was told I'm not happy, I told her she was just bored and lacking substance in her life, looking for spice. She then went insane and said I was manipulating. Yeah. Psychological manipulation. Again, why it's very important for you to know yourself, and in various situations know how to conduct yourself. So know how you think and what you'll say and what your moral and ethical philosophy is in that situation. So when you're with women, how are you going to think and speak? And it's like, when you go to job interviews, you try and predict all the kind of questions they'll ask you. It's kind of like that. Get good of knowing that whichever situations in life, try and know how you're going to answer those questions and conduct yourself. Then you're going to be more comfortable in them. And refresh yourself in those because they're important parts of life. Sean says, question, human, do you ever see these as the acceptable and rational cost to meet your biological needs? Doing it direct transactional, LY just doesn't do it. What's LY? Sorry. Well, it's hard. Like, I can't pretend to ignore something that's very obvious. Like, I can't do it. So unless, like, I pretty much locked the door. Not locked the door. I closed the door on relationships a couple of years ago, but I haven't locked it. And I only, and it's basically shut for the average woman, and only a very specific woman can actually come through. And again, I'm not looking. So be very intentional about how you're going about these things, and be honest about whether, because I'm very honest about, I don't care about women in relationships anymore, but I do know that I enjoy the company of a woman that I'm compatible with, because I have those were the moments I enjoyed when I was with a female I was compatible with, when things were good. So that door's only going to be opened really by someone intentionally like showing me that, but I'm not going to chase every woman and, hope, let's give it another try. Let's roll the dice again. So you've just got to be honest with yourself, go for what you want. And if you don't want it, don't. But if you do, go at it with your eyes open. And if you're going to take risks, take recoverable risks as much as you can. And if the risks are too great, then don't take them. Luke says, I think it's important that we try not to mold women to be what we want them to be. If we are not compatible, then have the self-respect to focus on maximizing life as an individual. Exactly. I'm going to pin that comment. Luke, well said. They're not all women. Look for compatibility or stay on your own. Have a standard by which you will allow a woman into your life. When you're young, you can be forgiven. But after a couple of times of dating the average women and treating them all as the same, stay on your own until you have a very specific standard. Then you'll start to kind of think about what you want. Any more questions, guys? We've been going for an hour and a quarter. I have to boogie soon. So let's, any final questions, and let's wrap it up. Corey says, do you think marriage is for children? I think so. I think that's about the only reason you'd want to get married, really. I never wanted children, so I never saw the point. Because I think the healthiest children are brought up in a two-parent household. And the biological parents are, you know, all evidence shows that the healthiest child is raised through that. If you're in a compatible and healthy relationship. I think compatibility is very, very underrated with people. People don't think, for me, it's just lazy if you're not looking for compatibility. If you say all men are the same, all women are the same, then you don't really care if you're compatible. You'll pick anyone. You have no standards by which you love. I love anyone because all women are the same. Good luck. You'll get the same kind of woman then. You notice that those guys that say all women are the same, they have standards for superficiality. They go for blondes, they go for big boobs or nice butt or something. They have standards there. All women aren't the same superficially, cosmetically, are they? Oh, but in the important things, their personality and their virtues, oh, they're all the same. There's no point looking at what I like there. No. But when you look at your taste superficially, then you've got a type, don't you? Yeah. That's why a lot of it's BS for me. All women are the same in the most important traits. Then it's very easy. It's almost like a lazy excuse. I'm not saying again that women all don't have the same type of female nature that they exhibit to various degrees. Some women very low that they never really exhibit it. But when guys say women are all the same, then I say, well, okay, then you could just date that fat chick over there. Oh, no, I have standards. Okay, but you don't for their personality and their temperament and their values? Interesting. You'll get what your standards are, I suppose. Keep picking empty women who don't have a personality or have the worst type. I don't know. All right, guys, any more questions? Or if not, let's wrap it up. First stream back from holiday 2022. Let's hope it should be a better year. I mean, things aren't great out there. I think everyone's gotten so numb that, again, look, I'm tired of being cautious, and I'm tired of being negative. I don't have time. Look, I'm just numb. I choose to make the most out of whatever's left out there. You know? So here's a question. Arahu says, Human, here's a question for you. How much has the issue of PORN affected relationships? Beforehand, I could see if it kind of if you've been indulging in PORN online for like decades, it can kind of make your expectations very, very unrealistic, and you can only get off on a certain type of standard, and it'll make a real woman boring by comparison, or very alien or neutral, or it doesn't excite you anymore, because you've patterned yourself after something else. In a relationship, if you're spending more time looking at sex online and fetishizing all that online, and you're really ignoring your partner, like that's the person you can experience that stuff with, but you're not, you got problems there too. So I think it's kind of depends. But again, on your own, I think it can become a problem too. A lot of guys are like, oh no, I just rub one out every day. Yeah. How often do you do it? How much does it, if you can actually do it as like a functional exercise where you know that if you just rub a quick one out, it can clarify you for the rest of the day and you can be productive. Or if you do it multiple times a day and you collect it online, and yeah, But like I said before, I think a lot of guys know what's right and what's wrong. But it can affect relationships. Corey says, thanks, human. In my opinion, marriage is to make life better with or without children. Look, true. I don't begrudge the guy that sort of just has a place in their heart because they always wanted to get married, or if he's been with her for many, many years and he decides he wants to do it, not because he's pressured, but because he wants to. Again, I make the decisions you want to make, guys. I'm just saying make them with your eyes open and make them rationally with enough patience and time that they make sense to you, not because you're pressured by Pumpkin or society, by anyone else, or you're shamed by guys not to get married. So you do want to get married, but because you don't want the guy shaming you, you don't do it. That's no better than how women treat each other, because women shame each other pretty much a lot. Anyway, guys, let's wrap it up. This was a good stream. We'll do it again next weekend, and I'll catch you during the week with another video. Have a good day. And be a good person. And don't be see you next Tuesday. All right, guys, I'll catch you later. And bye.